I just finished House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. And I loved it. I have a bunch of notes. I'm excited to tell you guys about it. We'll start off with the summary. Annalie is in mourning for her recently departed older sister, Eulalie. In these first few chapters, we join her and her father, her five other remaining sisters, and the High Mariner, who's sort of like their high priest, and other well wishers at the funeral. Here we find this is not actually the first death in the family. 6 years ago, their mom passed during childbirth with the youngest daughter, Verity. Then another sister, Ava, died from an illness, the plague. And then another sister, Octavia, fell from a ladder in the library. And then another sister, Elizabeth, died from what looked like suicide of drowning in the bathtub. So these deaths, while tragic, looked like they could be easily explained. However, Annalie realizes that Eulalie's death was not easily explained. It looks suspicious. We follow Annalie, who begins her quest to discover the truth of the sister's death. The genre is definitely fantasy. It's fantasy with elements of horror, ghosts and hauntings, and decomposition, because they live right by the sea, so everything is very salty, returning to the sea. Barnacles. Think like Pirates of the Caribbean, how the characters kind of look like they're like washing away. That's kind of the horror elements in A House of Salt and Sorrows. So what made me pick up this book was definitely the author, Erin A. Craig, who wrote The 13th Child. What kept me reading, though, was the sisters' relationship. I love how their relationship is described as realistic. So there's bickering, there's fights, there's long-held anger, but there's also a sense of compassion and loyalty that was just so endearing to read and really just came off the page alive. I also kept reading for the vibes. Dark and stormy nights on the ocean, think cliff sides, think deep waters, think secrets in the shadows, mansions covered with ivy, mists in the garden. Really cool environments. Page 2, some pleasant surprises. I actually really ended up liking the dancing scenes. If you didn't know, this book is a darker, more mystery driven a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses. And I wasn't sure if I'd really like those scenes, but the ball scenes were actually gorgeous. And so I really ended up liking the ballroom dancing scenes. I also liked the descriptions of the environments. As I mentioned earlier, I was surprised with how much that really kept drawing me in, how much that really surprised me, and how well they were written. I felt like I was standing there with Annalie, like looking around as she described the things. I could really see it. I could hear the waves. I could taste the salt. It was fantastically done. Another interesting surprise was the religion system. The religious beliefs in the book were actually not only interesting and logical, but also became a major plot point, which was unexpected, but I thought it was really interesting and brought me deeper into the world. Some unpleasant surprises were there's a brief moment of SA of assault, and it was really quick. Usually I would stop a book if that happens, but this one was one quick scene. It did not linger, so that was really good. Here, let me adjust the camera real fast. Sorry. Another unpleasant surprise was, let's see, what was it? Well, that was really the only unpleasant surprise. I would say a warning would be, if you're not really interested in horror elements or like jump scares or thrillers, it definitely did have some of that, mostly in the form of like ghosts or hauntings or things like that. Um, if you've seen the movie Crimson Peak, it's very much that kind of gothic horror. So I think it's interesting. actually enjoy some of that, and this was just enough to keep it interesting, but without being over the top like some books like some books I've read. Like, oh my gosh, I barely started Juniper and Thorn, and not for me. So this is not quite that bad if you know what I'm talking about. Let's see. Okay, how this book left me feeling. After this book, I just closed my eyes and leaned back, and I was so content and satisfied. It has a very satisfying ending, very sweet. Definitely what I wanted to happen. So not a little bit of a surprise ending, but in a very endearing way. So while it does have some darker elements, it also was beautiful and enchanting, and not like, it did not leave me on edge. It left me satisfied and happy. So that was really nice. Let's see, what else? I definitely, I think that was it actually for some of my commentary. Sorry for the pause there, but I definitely gave this a 5 stars overall. This has stuck with me. I finished this book a couple days ago, but it's really stuck with me. I keep thinking about it. I keep thinking about the characters, and that to me is how I know that it's not just a 4.5 or a 4 star, but it really is 5. Honestly, I don't really like the 1 to 5 star ratings. It seems too limiting. I would prefer like a 10-star rating. So to me, this would be like an 8 out of 10. A 10 out of 10 book is super rare. That's something like Lord of the Rings, or like The Sunlit Man by Brandon Sanderson, where it's like blew me away, had no idea, like the most perfect thing I could imagine. This, while excellent and amazing, wasn't necessarily groundbreaking. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had fun reading it. I would highly recommend, and it stuck with me. It really has. I've been thinking about it a lot, and that's how you know it's a good one. So definitely let me know if you have read House of Salt and Sorrows and what some of your other thoughts were, if you agree or disagree. Next, I want to read House of Root and Ruin by Erin A. Craig. I've heard it's a little more mature, maybe a little bit more on the edgy side, and I don't really enjoy that, but I do still want to read it. At least give it a try. I also want to read her book, Small Favors. So, what are your opinion on Erin A. Craig? I would love to know. Thanks, guys. Bye.